state legislation stuff.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the Centerville Board of Education meeting for Monday, February 22nd, 2021. Call roll, please.
Mr. Dahl?
Here.
Mrs. Gerbaugh? Here. Dr. Rohr?
Here.
Megan Sparks? Here. Mr. Schreier?
Here. Pledge allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4 on the agenda. Could I have a motion for approval of the agenda as presented, please?
So moved. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Gerbaugh?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes.
Mr. Schreier?
Yes. Item number 5 is hearing of the public. The Centerville Board of Education provides this as a convenient opportunity for public comment before any official action is taken. If you would like to speak to the board, please come to the lectern up here. State your name and address. If you're a student, you just need to state your name. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We will listen to all who speak, but generally not engage in discussion or dialogue at this time. As usual, any matters requiring follow-up will be directed to the superintendent. Individual board members can always be contacted for a set meeting appointment, and written correspondence can be mailed to the board office. Would anyone like to speak to the board? Paul?
Good evening, Paul Sefchat, 5777 Hither Green Drive, Washington Township. Last week I spoke to the school board regarding the budget and allocations of resources. I pointed out that from a budget of $108,708,368, all but $11,614,850 is allocated to salaries and benefits. The actual school system operates on less than $1 million a month if you exclude salaries and benefits. I further stated that a budget that allocates 89.3% of its resources to salaries and benefits is unsustainable. The issue of salaries and benefits is driven by our certified staff. Their cost model of salaries, steps, and longevity requires modification. Unsustainability. What drives such a rash statement? Well, in 2019, there were 9 instructors in the Century Club, those instructors earning in excess of $100,000 per year. In 2020, the Century Club increased to 13 instructors. In 2019, there were 101 instructors in the Roaring 90s Club, instructors earning in excess of $90,000 a year. In 2020, that membership in the Roaring 90s Club increased to 153. These numbers are based on compensations reported on the W-2s generated by the Centerville School District for the years 2019 and 2020. Additionally, 23 of the 153 members of the Roaring 90s Club earn in excess of $98,000 per year. They are poised to move to the Century Club in 2021. This is what I mean by unsustainability. This is not an issue solely of teacher salary compensation. It is an issue of school board largesse. Largesse with taxpayer dollars that are perceived to be inexhaustible. We have an above average school system. It provides good jobs and compensations to all of its employees. This can all unravel unless the certified associate salaries, steps, and longevities are adjusted. The school board needs to take the necessary actions to preserve the school system. It will require hard discussions and compromises by all parties. Failure to begin addressing these issues today will ultimately resolve a community divided against itself tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to the board?
Jeff, I want to take a second to reply. I know this is the second time Paul has come up from last week to this week, and since we're being telecast now, I know he wanted to say it a second time, but we don't have an above-average school district. We have a fantastic school district, and the reason we're a fantastic school district is because of our teachers and staff within this district. Our teachers have been here for a long time. Like any other job in any other profession, as you move up, you increase your salaries. We have a large percentage of our staff that are relatively new and at our lower salaries. So this is not an uncommon situation. We are sustainable. We've been sustainable. If there's a problem with the budget, we need to talk to our state reps and our state house in terms of funding this school district. So I just want to let everybody know that it is typical in a school district, 90% typically is what is paid for salaries and benefits because we are a people-run business. And that is not an uncommon situation. So again, I don't want anyone giving the inclination that our teachers don't deserve what they get. They certainly deserve it. We are very budget conscious. We always have been. We have great negotiations when we're dealing with teachers and their contracts, and we're undergoing that right now. But again, we have an excellent school district, and it's because of our teachers.
Thank you. Anyone else? Item number 6 on the agenda is honors. Dr. Henderson, please.
Thank you, Mr. Schroyer. I'm going to ask Dan Tarpey, our Director of HR, to make the first presentation. So, Dan?
Thank you, Dr. Henderson, and good evening. Each year, the district participates in the Ohio Teacher of the Year program, which is sponsored by the Ohio Department of Education. The mission of the Ohio Teacher of the Year program is to honor, promote, and recognize excellence in teaching and the teaching profession. This year, the district nominee was selected from Centerville High School. At this time, I'm very pleased to announce that the district has selected Mrs. Teresa Replogle for this very special recognition. Mrs. Replogle, would you please step forward? Also coming forward is Mr. Carroll, our high school coordinating principal. Teresa is a special education teacher here at Centerville High School. She's worked for the Centerville City Schools for the past 21 years. She's a proud graduate of the University of Dayton, where she played softball for the Flyers. Teresa's nominator is Principal John Carroll. Mr. Carroll will be making a few comments about Teresa in just a couple of minutes. Before Mr. Carroll makes his comments, before I make some final comments, I would like to thank our community relations specialist, Mrs. Sarah Swan, for creating a video clip that I'm going to ask Mr. Morgan to share with you now. This video clip is a clip of Mrs. Replogle and Mr. Carroll introducing themselves and talking a little bit more about this process.
So what motivates me as a teacher is I'm an intervention specialist, and I've done that for all my 26 years. And I love the challenge of helping a student who struggles to succeed. We have to come up with all kinds of strategies to help them feel successful, but at the same time, help their self-esteem. You know, a lot of them, especially when they come to the high school, they've been trying so hard all these years. And they want to be successful and they want to learn more. And it's a challenge to help them, but we are real respectful, or I like to be respectful of their self-esteem and just, you know, watching them grow. They come here at a certain level and we give them the tools to help them get to the next level and then get ready for life after high school. So it's really a cool time when you see these freshmen come really nervous, and then by the time they leave, our goal is that they leave confident and excited about the new opportunities after high school.
Teresa Replogle is such a worthy candidate for this award. She's a humble educator, she's a dedicated educator, she's a hardworking educator. You know, she just has the interests of every single kid in mind and can personalize what's going on for the kids. consistently, day in and day out. She's here, sometimes I feel like I have to run her out of the building at night, and on the weekends she's always here working. She just is incredibly dedicated and highly effective of working with every kid. So just really proud of her and grateful that she is employed here and that is a part of our team.
It's not like anybody says you've got to be better every day. You just feel like you need to be. And we do that for the kids in the community. I think we would not be who we are, and the kids would not be who they are without mom and dad, their support, and their expectations for us to help their kids be successful.
Thank you, Mrs. Swan, for putting that together. That clip will be posted on our district website for the community to review if they like. Mrs. Raplogu is an outstanding and accomplished teacher that excels in her classroom with exceptional special needs students. She excels in every aspect. Most notably, she's simply a loving person who genuinely respects and cares for each student in a very personalized, individualized manner. She's 100% committed to the success of her students. As Mr. Carroll said, she can often be seen helping students before school, during their lunch period, or after school to ensure they're making forward progress and that they feel valued. She's always smiling, as you can see here tonight. She looks for all that is positive with her interactions with students, parents, and the entire Centerville High School staff. So it is truly an honor this evening to recognize her. And at this time, I would invite Mr. Carroll to the podium to make some additional comments about what characterizes her work process here on a day-to-day basis. Mr. Carroll?
I don't care how much time they give me, I don't have enough time to tell you just how amazing Teresa is as an educator. The best teachers are able to get into the minds of individual kids, to diagnose what they need, and then to prescribe a course for those kids. And she does this day in and day out. And for anybody that does it, and does it to the level that Teresa does it, you'll understand how much energy that you have to pour into that to make it happen. So I'm just so proud to work with her. I'm so proud of the work that she does. The only other point that I would make here is she might be the kindest person. I'm looking at one of her kids, an advisor who will know. She's the kindest and most humble person. I would put that up against anybody, anywhere in any profession. I've never met a kinder person than somebody that every time you talk to her, you might want to draw out information about her and her family or whatever, but she ends up drawing things out of you. I think that's what makes you a great teacher, Teresa. You're able to just constantly keep drawing out. So I just am enjoying this moment, of celebrating her and her excellence and the excellence of our school district. The only thing I'll say about the humility part is when I called Teresa into my office to explain to her, hey, you're the Teacher of the Year nomination, she begged me not to. She literally said, please, not me. There's so many other people in our district that are deserving of this. It's true, there are a lot of people that are deserving of it, but I told her there's two things that mark true excellence here. Teacher of the Year nomination and the Hall of Fame, if you get on the wall up front. You're both of those things, Teresa. So I'm just sharing that with you. And that's why I was so excited to be able to nominate her for this award. We're just so proud of her. So you don't need to hear any more from me. I'm just going to say thank you to the board and to Dr. Henderson and to Dan Tarpey for supporting this nomination and pushing Teresa forward. I know she's going to be up against great people, but in my mind, she's the winner. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, Mr. Carroll. So without further ado, our Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Teresa Raplogu.
Thank you for all those nice comments and accolades. Good evening, Dr. Henderson. Good evening, Centerville School Board, Mr. Tarpey, Administration, John Carroll, Mr. Koval, Mrs. Henry, and everyone in attendance tonight. While I was thinking of putting something together, the thing that kept coming back to my mind was high expectations. What I mean by this is that there is this high expectation for anybody who works for Centerville City Schools and anybody who attends Centerville City Schools. It begins with our parents. They set high expectations each morning and they, walk their child to the bus or send their kids off. They expect their child to learn, to make friends, to, eat lunch with their friends. This high expectations is set by Dr. Anderson. He has high expectations for himself and everyone around him. When I have June is in my advisory, but they're a senior advisory now, but when they were freshmen, after the first grading period, Dr. Henderson was knocking on my door. He said, "Can I talk to the student?" And I said, "Sure." So he pulled the student out and they had a conversation. And I said to the student, after Dr. Henderson left, I said, "Hey, what's up?" And he said, Dr. Anderson said if he didn't run up his grades, he'd have to put band. And this was a student that had like C's and D's, getting close to an F. And he will graduate this year with A's and B's, and he's going to continue going to college for a band. And it's just those expectations, those small eye contact, taking time out of your day to connect with a child or a student. All of us, everybody here, no matter what you do, we have high expectations. Well, when does it start? This starts, this high expectation culture is evident in every classroom, every athletic field, lunchroom, when students are in the hallway. This starts the minute a kindergartner or preschool student steps into a school. You have high expectations even when they are greeted by the secretary or the bus driver. It continues throughout their whole schooling, and when they just accept their diploma, it continues after, when they carve out their life. I witness these amazing stories every day being a part of this culture, and I just want to share one more story before I say thank you. We have this program here at the high school called the L Connectors, and remember our 2 freshman L Connectors, Judy? So they were awesome, and it always amazes me how these little freshmen, they stop what they're doing to listen to when the L Connectors come into the classroom. So they're typically 2 seniors that volunteer their time to help explain what's going to happen next. And at the end of the year, we have like a party to thank them for helping our freshmen adjust to Centerville High School. And at the party, of course, we had Bill's Donuts and Judy's and chocolate milk. And I asked the 2 girls, I said, "Well, what do you guys do after graduation?" And the one girl was all excited. She was going to go to a college in Ohio and play soccer. And the other girl was going to go to a college in Kentucky. And I said, "Oh my gosh, wait, I'm glad you decided that." And she was way involved in forte in the theater. And I said, "Well, are you going to continue with singing and in the theater?" And she said, "Well, you know what? I checked into it. They don't really have a forte, and the theater program is not that great. But you know what? I'll start one." And it's things like that that we see all the time, that these expectations that are just passed on, and the kids amaze us. And it is an honor to be a teacher for Centerville City Schools and at the high school, and I am grateful and honored. Thank you.
Thank you both for adding those insights. Again, Teresa's credentials will now be reviewed by a state selection panel that will choose one individual to represent the Ohio Teacher of the Year. Just to say one more time, Teresa, I want to thank you for all of your outstanding work. You took us into your classroom a little bit there. You took us into your thought process, and you're absolutely right. It's an unbelievable place to work and be. The expectations start at the top with our superintendent. I appreciate working with that person every day, and our Board of Education, which is incredibly supportive of this administration and our staff. And so you heard Dr. Rohr talk about that just a little bit ago. It's just a great place to be and work. Teresa, I'm with John. My money's on you. I think you're going to do a great job. And before you get off, I just want to present you with a memento which recognizes your efforts and your recognition here tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan, and John, I think your comments about Teresa were right on target, so I'd like to add my congratulations to you as well, and I know you'll do well at the state level, so congratulations again. The next thing that we're going to do tonight is I have the honor of explaining and kind of describing two schools in our district that have received some awards here recently. So I'd like to invite my guests up to the podium that I invited here tonight. So they're going to work their way up here, hopefully. I told them that they had to limit their speeches to about 25 or 30 minutes. And so they've been back there working on those all last 5 or 10 minutes. So let me introduce who I've invited here tonight. First of all, this is Mrs. Amy Allen. Amy is the principal at Primary Village South, and her guidance counselor, Mrs. Megan Looney. And to my right, Mrs. Diana Keller, the principal at Stingley, and Mrs. Maura Dressel, who's the counselor at Stingley Elementary. So both schools here tonight, both Primary Village South, PVS, and Stingley, were recognized this year to receive a Purple Star Award. And so this school year, this 2020-2021 school year, in addition to the pandemic that was going on, both of these schools and both of these individuals led the initiative to qualify for a Purple Star Award. So just to give you a little bit of an understanding about the Purple Star Award. The Purple Star Award recognizes military-friendly schools that show a major commitment to students and families connected to our nation's military. Schools that earn this award will receive a special Purple Star recognition to display at their building. And to be honored as a Purple Star Award school, you have to complete some required activities and then one optional activity. And I'm not sure which one of these individuals did this, but I'm assuming it was one of them. One of them, I'm sure, volunteered, I guess they volunteered, to be a liaison that was responsible for completing some professional development. So it looks like Mrs. Dressel was one of those, and Mrs. Looney was the other one. So thank you for volunteering to do this important task. But again, one of the requirements was that one school staff member becomes the point of contact for all of the military students and families. And they really serve as the liaison between those students and the school. And so one of the things they have to do then is they have to go out, and there is a course on the Ohio Department of Education website. It's entitled Military Children in Ohio Schools. And it's a course actually that they go through, and they have to take this and complete this as one of the requirements. The other requirement, one other requirement is that the liaison, thank you again Megan and Maura, has to identify and inform teachers of the military-connected students in the schools that are in their classrooms. They help, again, as a liaison, they work with the staff in the school building to help military families and students for any kind of special considerations or support that they may need. Many times military families have a tendency to travel and move around quite a bit, and so there is a lot of restarting and re-entry and things like that that they work on and work with the students. And again, thanks again to Maura and Megan for being the liaisons to help with this. The third requirement is that the schools must maintain a dedicated page on their website featuring resources for all military families. So those were three of the requirements that they completed. And then they all had an optional activity that they needed to do. And I'm not sure exactly what their optional activity that each school decided to do, but those would include things like providing professional development for the staff in the building. Sometimes school boards pass resolutions, which the school board has done in the past. And then sometimes it would hold like a fun military recognition event that again demonstrates a military-friendly culture. So Stingley, over here to my right, and PBS, they now join 4 other Centerville City schools, and those other 4 schools are Watts Middle School, Centerville High School, Magsic Middle School, and Primary Village North, who achieved this distinction in the year of 2020. So it was last year about this time in January of 2020. So I thought it's a great award, it's a great effort, it's something that's very important and very needed in our schools, and both Stingley and Primary Village South kind of rose to that occasion. So join me in giving them a round of applause and congratulations. Thank you. So I also wanted to recognize Primary Village South for another award. Just recently, they were named a 2021 State School of Character by the Character Organization. And Character.org is a national advocate and leader for character education. Character.org works with schools to be named as a school of character, and they certify that schools who apply must demonstrate a dedicated focus on character development, which has a positive effect on academic achievement, student behavior, and school culture. Although there were 76 schools that were named schools of character across the United States, Primary Village South was the only school in Ohio to garner this award this year. So again, congratulations to Primary Village South. Just like with the Purple Star Award, the criteria for selection to receive this award is based on the Character.org's 11 Principles of Framework for Schools, which is a guide to cultivating culture of character. And that guide helps cultivate and helps schools and school districts improve academic achievement, student behavior, and an overall positive school climate. Now, I asked Stingley to stay up here because PVS, Primary Village South, as a state school of character, now joins Primary Village North and Stingley Elementary, who also received this award in the past. So again, two great schools, and congratulations on your hard work on achieving both of these awards. So thank you and congratulations, and please join me again in this round of applause. Do you still want to do your speech, or good? Okay. Thank you. Congratulations.
On behalf of the board, I would like to congratulate Mrs. Reflogel. Congratulations. On behalf of the board, I would like to congratulate Stingley Elementary and Primary Village South. Thank you all. Great job. We are going to go to item number 7 on the agenda tonight. Board and administrative reports. 7A, the legislative report. Mrs. Sparks, please.
There's nothing really to report tonight. I'm just watching the COVID and testing right now, but I believe the student board reps are going to go in depth about that, so I'll let them go ahead and take it. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well tonight. So I'm actually very excited to discuss the meeting that me and the other board reps had last weekend. So just to give you guys some context, we've been meeting every few weeks with board reps from neighboring districts such as Springboro, Northmont, and West Carrollton, all in hopes of actually getting rid of this standardized testing at the end of this year due to the pandemic. So last weekend, we actually met with 2 state senators, Rodney Creech and Tom Young. We discussed 3 major topics regarding faults with the testing, and these actually included social emotional effects, equity, and consistency. And the voting for this bill, which is House Bill 686, will take place at the end of this month. Thank you.
I'd like to add is that you guys would be really proud of them. They did an outstanding job, and Dr. Henderson, he was there, he can attest to that. They blew. One of the representatives asked if they could meet with them on a regular scheduled basis. So they did so well. Good job, ladies.
And I'd just like to add, I agree with what Mrs. Sparks said. You guys did an amazing job. We were proud of you. You represented Centerville City Schools, Centerville High School very well, so thank you for that. Also, Mrs. Sparks and Mr. Schroyer, who took their time to, I'm sure, to help set this up and spend some time on a Saturday, and you guys as well. So thank you for your efforts, and I think those are the kinds of things that make a difference. And like I said, we were very proud of you, so thank you again.
Great job, ladies, as I've told you before. Thank you. Thank you. Item 7C, the January 2021 monthly financial report. Ms. Salver, please.
Good evening, everyone. I want to give the board and the community an update on 2 items tonight. First item, which is state funding. We've had some changes in our state funding for the current year.
And then also, we've had a lot of revenue coming in to prepare for all the blended learning and all of the preparations that we have to make in our buildings regarding COVID-19. So we have some revenue resources to talk about. So first, just to give you a review of the state funding, in fiscal year 20, we had a reduction of about $1.3 million. And that actually did happen. We were notified very late in the fiscal year last May and kind of trickled into June. But overall, our revenues in fiscal year 20 were down by $1.3 million. And we were told to expect that same level of funding then for 21. Well, we were just notified at the end of January, I'm happy to report that $755,000 of that is coming back to us. So we're not restored yet to 2019 levels, but it is better than what we were anticipating. There's a new budget being discussed right now in the state, and so we'll see what happens. It's too soon to be able to determine what next year's funding will look like. I've heard rumblings that they're trying to get it back up to that 2019 level, so we'll see what happens with that. So moving now into, I want to just outline for you, we've received several different rounds of COVID-19 sources of federal funding. The whole administrative team has been heavily involved in planning all of the spending for those, and so thank you to all of the work that's gone into that. So the first source that we received is called Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief. We refer to that as ESSER. We received $450,000 last April, was about the time frame that we were given that award. We have through September 30th of 2022. That's one of the longest time frames, and so we're still in the process of spending that. But those funds can be used for anything that we're currently spending our existing federal funds on, like special education and our Title I programs, or anything directly related to dealing with the pandemic. And so some of those examples that we have are spending that money on was some summer professional development and preparation for the school year. Several of our online resources for our students that are learning remotely, Dreambox, IXL, some of those types of things. Monthly hotspots, so we've been providing, making sure that every student has access to Wi-Fi internet connection. Supply kits to send home with kids, those are some of the things that we've been spending those sources on. The next source of funding we received was called Coronavirus Relief Funds, or CRF. That was a cost of $428,000, or an allocation of $428,000. We have pretty much spent all of those funds. Initially, the deadline on that was at the end of 2020. That money had to be spent, but they did extend that through 2021, December of 2021. But for the most part, we've completed spending this. Again, these funds can be used on anything that's related to the pandemic. So some of the examples of these funds, we've purchased Chromebooks, we've purchased a lot of the PPE, like gloves and masks and things that way, hand sanitizer, thermometers, the partitions that you see in the classrooms and cafeterias and that type of thing. The next grant that we received was called Broadband Ohio Connectivity Grant, which is also a coronavirus relief fund. This was just short of $31,000. And these funds were very specific that they had to be used to make sure that all students have access to the internet. So again, we use this money to provide the hotspots for students and families that needed those services. Montgomery County received funding for COVID relief. These went to business. This money went to businesses, and then a portion of it also went to education. So our allocation for this was $2 million. Again, the spending deadline on that originally was December of 2020. And just so you know, we didn't receive those funds until about September was when we were given that notification that this money was coming. So it was a very short window. They did extend it to 2021, but we did complete spending that through the end of December. Again, anything related to the this one was specific to say relation to the interruption of or reduction of services that resulted in the pandemic. Again, pretty much anything that was COVID related. We bought Chromebooks, hotspots, document cameras for teachers to have better cameras on their computers for the blended learning and when we were completely remote during the first quarter.
security cameras, cleaning machines, the dividers, hand sanitizer, all those things that we're using in the buildings has all been a part of this grant as well. Another source that we received then was from the Montgomery County Educational Service Center. This was specific for blended learning. It was $48,000. These funds we, used for compensating our teachers, and it was to support high-quality blended learning to our students. And the last source of funds is ESSER Part 2. We're going to receive an allocation of $2.3 million. This application just became live, I think Monday, yesterday, or over the weekend, I think it was. But these sources we have until September 30th of 2023. So we have a lot of time to assess where we're at, where our students are at academically. We're talking about a lot of different things that we can use this money for, but these funds can be used to prevent, prepare for, and respond to COVID-19. So the administrative team is in the process of having conversations on how those funds will be spent. Any questions?
Laura, I don't have any questions. I just want to make, since we're talking about COVID, I just want to make one quick comment. I know our teachers are going to be getting their second round of vaccines tomorrow. Wednesday. Keep thinking it's Tuesday from last month. Wednesday. And I know a lot of people feel that, we get the second shot, everything will be back to normal. I just want to reemphasize, we've got to continue to be persistent in terms of wearing masks, social distancing, and doing the right things. Even though children are not getting as sick as some of the adults, we're still seeing an increase right now in this multi-inflammatory syndrome in children, and we're seeing that 2 or 3 weeks after they may have been infected. So we're not out of the woods yet. I just want to emphasize that we still need to be cautious. Everyone should get their vaccines when they can get their vaccines, but just because our teachers are getting vaccinated, we're not over and things aren't going to be back to normal yet. So please, as a reminder to you, your families, continue to be vigilant in terms of protecting yourself and protecting others.
I have a financial question. You mentioned that we're going to find out if we're going to be back up to the 2019 state funding. As I recall, maybe you recall better than I do, when Governor DeWine stepped forth his additional budget after he was elected in 2018 for the 2019 budget, his first budget, didn't for school funding, did they just try to maintain the same budget that we received from the last 2-year budget from Governor Casey? So what happened in 19 was just flat funding, no additional funding from the state.
Mostly, yes. They did give us student wellness and success funds, which was a small allocation per district. It wasn't a large.
Not for us.
Not for us.
Right.
It wasn't a lot.
Right.
But you're right. It was basically pretty much flat
Right.
funding.
And that's been consistent for a long period of time.
That's correct.
All right. Thank you.
Anything else? Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
We're going to go to the action items on the agenda, even though we may seem to move very quickly through these. We have discussed them at length at the work session last week and in previous months, so don't be alarmed when we go through these very fast tonight. Item number 8, Treasurer's recommendations under 8A. Consider approving the January 2021 financial statements to include the monthly general fund rolling report, the monthly general fund breakdown, the monthly cash reconciliation, the monthly fund activity report, then and now purchase orders approved by the administration, certified by the treasurer, and supported by board resolution totaling $90,668.81.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Gall?
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbach? Yes. Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Megan Sparks? Yes. Mr. Schreier?
Yes. Item 8B, consider approving the minutes of the following Board of Education meetings. The January 25th, 2021 regular meeting, the February 16th, 2021 special meeting. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Megan Sparks? Yes. Mr. Schreier?
Yes. Item number 9, superintendent's recommendations. We can take all these together, I believe. Okay. Superintendent recommends accepting resignations as listed on Schedule A. The superintendent recommends the change of employment status or change of contract status for the certificated personnel listed on Schedule B for the salaries, programs, and on the effective dates given. The superintendent recommends the employment or change of employment status for the support staff personnel listed on Schedule C for the salaries, programs, and on the effective dates given. The superintendent also recommends the employment of the personnel listed on Schedules D and D1 for supplemental contracts or extra duty assignments. And finally, Schedule E, the superintendent recommends the granting of leaves of absence for the personnel listed on Schedule E for the reasons and on the dates given.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments on anything there? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Megan Sparks? Yes. Mr. Schreier?
Yes. Item number 10, consider approving a farm lease between Centerville City Schools and Lucas Brothers Farms for both the Sheehan and Franklin Street properties.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Henderson, could you explain a little bit of that, please?
Sure, Mr. Schreier. As you just read, Centerville Schools does own some property on Sheehan Road, and then, of course, the land just adjacent to the high school here on Franklin Street. For a long time, we've entered into a lease agreement with Lucas Brothers. The Lucas family grew up in Washington Township, and for many years, they've been farming land in Washington Township, and also have been worked in the fields that we've mentioned here as well. So the Washington Township also uses Lucas Brothers to do the same thing, and this is a way for us to have somebody, on our land, kind of keeping track of our land for us, and also kind of keeping it in a clean way with sowing some either soybeans or corn, and they do pay us a modest fee for leasing our land.
Thank you. Questions or comments on item 10? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Dernbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Megan Sparks? Yes. Mr. Schreier?
Yes. Item number 11 on the agenda, consider accepting bids through the Southwest Ohio Educational Purchasing Council and approving the bids for the purchase of the following Rush International, Conventional, and Cardinal Bluebird transit buses. Specifically, 3 84-passenger Bluebird transit buses without luggage compartments for $111,421 each, totaling $334,263. 1 72-passenger Rush International Conventional Student with Disabilities bus, totaling $99,840. And 4 72-passenger Rush International Conventional School buses, totaling each at $92,287 for a total of $369,148 for those four. The total purchase is $803,251. I'm sorry, $803,251. Sorry about
So
that.
moved. Second.
Dr. Henderson, could you comment how we're going to pay for that, please?
Absolutely. The purchase of the school bus will come out of our permanent improvement fund, so it does not come out of our general funds money. And we are a member, as you just read, a member of the Southwest Educational Purchasing Council, or EPC for short. And so this is kind of a year-long process where they go out to bid, they get the best bid available, and then we're able to take advantage. There's a lot of school districts that are part of the EPC, and gives us a lot of buying power, and so this is the best bid that's out there right now. And we believe it's important and fiscally right to replace our fleet on mostly an annual basis to keep our fleet up to par and in good working order for our school district.
Thank you. Questions or comments on item 11? Call the roll, please.
This total dollar amount is before the grant is applied, correct? So the actual cost to the district is around $600,000?
That's correct. Our supervisor of transportation and his assistant did apply for a grant, and they were funded for that. And so that grant will diminish this to about $600,000.
And the grant specified that we had to purchase 8 buses. Is that right?
That's correct.
Thank you for that clarification, Alice. Any other comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Sternbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Megan Sparks? Yes. Mr. Schreier?
Yes. Item number 12, consider a resolution authorizing the curriculum department to administer the state of Ohio 3rd grade English language arts assessment in paper format for the 2021-2022 school year.
So moved.
I'm going to ask you to speak on that again, please, Dr.
Sure. Mrs. Colopy, Sherry Colopy, our Director of Elementary Curriculum, reported on that last week. All school districts in Ohio have the option of administering the English Language Arts Assessment in 3rd grade, either online or in paper format. And we feel like it serves our students the best when they do this assessment using paper format. So to do that, boards of education do need to pass a resolution annually to describe how they're going to, what format they'll use, either online or through paper. So we feel our students do better, at least with this first assessment, by using the paper format.
Thanks.
Sure.
Any other comments or questions on item 12? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Sternbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Megan Sparks? Yes. Mr. Schreier?
Yes. Item 13, consider a resolution approving the following revised Board of Education policies. Policy number 1520, the employment of administrators. Policy 1530, the evaluation of principals and other administrators. Policy 3124, employment contract. Policy 5610, removal, suspension, expulsion, and permanent exclusion of students. Policy 5611, due process rights. Policy 6114, cost principles, spending federal funds. Policy number 6152.01, waiver of school fees for instructional materials. Policy number 6325, procurement, federal grants and funds. Policy number 8800, religious, patriotic ceremonies and observances. Could I have a motion to approve those revisions, please?
So moved.
Dr. Henderson, I'm going to ask you. Yes, sir.
Sure, Mr. Schroyer. Most districts in Ohio contract with a company by the name of Neola, and Neola has a group of attorneys that go through and vet and look at all of the changes in the Ohio Revised Code, and then they help school districts stay compliant with the changes that come about through changes with the Ohio Revised Code. So this resolution to approve these revised board policies represents some changes that their legal team advised all school districts to modify their board policies to. And I usually meet with representatives of Neola about 3 or 4 times a year. And so we do have some more to talk about at our work session next month and probably also in April as well. So that's just, again, kind of an annual thing that happens maybe 3 times a year. And we ask the board to approve some revisions to their board policies.
Thank you. Other comments on item 13? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Sternbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Megan Sparks? Yes. Mr. Schreier?
Yes. Item number 14, consider approving the purchase of 349 Acer Spin laptops from ComDoc at the lowest quoted price of $688.78 each, for a total of $240,384.22.
So moved. Second.
Dr. Henderson?
Sure. Shannon Morgan, our Director of Technology, and his team have a technology plan where they rotate the purchase of new devices for staff. And so the purchase that you're approving now, hopefully, is for our Centerville High School teaching staff. And those devices that the staff are currently using are about 5 years old, and there are issues that they're having with all of those devices. The batteries won't hold a charge, and there's other things that have become problematic after all these years and a lot of use. So Mr. Morgan went out and looked at various bids. He submitted about 5 bids to the board that we talked about last week, and this was the best price for those. And we hope to get these in, and they will get those set up and ready to go, and hopefully deploy those to the Centerville High School teachers at the end of this school year. And we hope to get about another 5 or 6 years out of those, and then we'll continue that rotation.
Thank you. Could you talk about how we're paying for those as well?
Yes, we are paying for these out of the Permanent Improvement Fund as well, and so no general fund monies will be used.
Thank you. Any other comments on item 14? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Sternbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Megan Sparks? Yes. Mr. Schreier?
Yes. Item 15, any final comments for the good of the order from anyone on the board? Seeing no one. Item 16, can I have a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Sternbach?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Megan Sparks? Yes. Mr. Schreier?
Yes. Thank you all for coming. We are adjourned.